In 1974, Chicago radio broadcaster Studs Terkel published a best-selling compilation of interviews with a cross-section of Americans talking about their jobs. Terkel described it as the extraordinary dreams of ordinary people. These are their words. About 20% of all care workers live in poverty, and about 40% rely on public assistance. In times like these, many risk their lives and the lives of their families for that small pay at the end of the week. As I often hear said in theater, no matter how good the leads are, the chorus is what makes or breaks a show. Care and essential workers risk their well-being to keep us alive and comfortable, yet they often live below the poverty line. We need to start rewarding them for the risks they take daily, not by making ads about how much we appreciate them, but by filling their needs with better pay and better working conditions. This is a cut of Working the Musical, based on a book by Studs Terkel, adapted by Stevan Shwarts and Nina Faso. I like flying. I like people. I really do. With all the great benefits, flying around the world, meeting all these great people. It sounds terrible. Just a housewife. Good morning, Hernando. How are you? Good morning, Selena. I missed you. In your heart, you may have a certain dislike for a certain child, but you force yourself to say, "Good morning, Manuel. How you doing?" My name is Rose Hoffman. I teach 3rd grade. At 9:15, we start with arithmetic. I have tables fun written on the board. Multiplication. You don't say tables, you say tables fun. Everything has to be fun, fun, fun. I tell my students, Miss Hoffman's here, everybody works. Working is a blessing. In the old days, I had 18 to 20 children who stayed in my class from the beginning bell to the very end. Today, I have 37 in my class. The kids come in, play on their cell phones, and leave for computer lab and art therapy. Oh yes, I have seen great changes since I began teaching in 1967. My classroom was always a showcase. My children were always respectful. When the principal came, they would rise. But kids don't know how to behave anymore. You ask them to rise, and they'll ask you, "What for?" When I started teaching, we didn't have problems with focus, with discipline. Of course, in those days, we had the paddle. Oh yes, I'm a big believer in corporal punishment. It builds respect and trust. I made a big thing about spelling, and they learned by the time I was through. They copied the words till they knew them by heart, 10 times for the dumb ones, and twice for the smart. But why bother teaching them spelling today? How can you spell what you can't even say? Now it's "C'est espagnol." The way I've been teaching for 40-some years is no longer effective. Well, it worked for me then. What's wrong with it now? They say I'm supposed to keep up with the times, but nobody ever tells me how. In the first 2 months I was flying, I'd already been to New York, London, and Paris, which is pretty huge when you're from Kinnicky, Illinois. But it's not always as glamorous as I thought it'd be. One time, I was working first class, and the captain calls me in to tell me that we're going to have to make an emergency landing because we lost a pin out of the nose gear. When we land, the nose gear is going to collapse. So he wants me to prepare the whole cabin for this landing, but not for another 2 hours. And I can't tell the other flight attendants because they're new and would get all excited. So I had to keep this in me for 2 hours. And I'm thinking, am I going to die today? And this guy gets mad at me because his omelet's too cold. And I was going to say, just you wait. You're not going to have to worry about your stinking omelet. My granddad was a sailor. My father was a farmer, and I was his only daughter. At I took up with a no-good mill working man from Massachusetts. He died from too much whiskey and left me these 3 faces to feed. Mill work, it ain't easy, and mill work ain't hard. It's most often a goddamn awful boring job. I'm just waiting for a daydream to take me through the morning, put me on my coffee break so I can have my sandwich and remember that it's me and my machine for the rest of my life. I work in a luggage factory making suitcases. In the summertime, the temperature at my workstations ranges anywhere from 100 to 150 degrees. I have arthritis in the joints of my fingers. The hose will sometimes leak and spray back on you. The hydraulic presses leak, so you're always slipping in oil. You have the possibility of being burnt every time the hot dye hits the wet felt. You're just engulfed in a cloud of steam every 40 seconds. On the tanks, you gotta be automatic in what you're doing whilst your mind is doing something else. My mind wanders to my days back on the farm. I can see my father smiling at me, swinging on his arm. And I can hear my granddad's stories about the storms out on Lake Erie. My life has been wasted. And I have been a fool. I have let this manufacturer use my body for a tool. I ride home in the evenings, staring at my hands, swearing by my sorrow that a young girl ought to stand a better chance. May I work this mill just as long as I'm able, and never meet the man whose name is on the label. It's me and my machine for the rest of my life. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I guess in my Mother's Day they would have called me a housewife. It's funny. It's not like I sit around all day watching soap operas. I have a lot of work to do. You just want something more exciting to talk about at a dinner party, you know? Something that matters. What I do only matters to 3 people. I'm nothing special, nothing great. What I do is kind of boring. All I am is someone's mother, someone's wife, which seems so unimportant. What I feel is out of date. What I do is unfulfilling, so the TV talk shows tell me every night. I don't mean to complain, it's just they make you feel like you're 2 feet tall when you're just a wife. All they see are the pots and the pans of a person's life. You're a whiz if you go to work, but you're just a jerk if you say you won't. People say that they think it's fine, that the choice is mine, but you know they don't. What I do, what I choose to do may be dumb to you, but it's not to me. Is it dumb that they need me there? Is it dumb to care? Because I do. And I mean, did you ever think, really stop to think what a job it was? Doing all the things that a housewife does.